Right, good morning, guys. So yesterday I was very fortunate to get the delivery of the Sigma 35mm f1.2 DGDN lens. I bought it used, so not brand new, but it's still in very, very good condition. Has a 6-month warranty, so it's fine. Nice price. I traded in my Samyang 35mm f1.4 Mark II version in, as I wasn't particularly happy with it. But anyway, yesterday the light was pretty poor. It was very cloudy, windy, and the light just wasn't nice. I mean, it was still bright, but it just wasn't a particularly nice day, and subjects were a little bit limited, mainly because things were blowing around in the wind. Whatever the wind speed was something like 18 or 19 mile an hour ground speed, and then 30 meters was about 35 or 40 gusts, mile an hour gusts. And then above that, I don't know, but the clouds were passing very, very quickly. So it was an interesting day for photography as such. But I managed a few. So in the garden, we've got some grapes growing, and they are starting to get bigger. So this shot here, I have tweaked it already. ISO 1000, f8, 35mm 1/400th of a second. So as you can see, the light was actually quite cool because you've got a little bit of sunlight bursting through between the leaves. It's a bit of detail, but you can see even at f8 how quickly it drops off your focal depth. So it's still quite difficult to get a shot that looks pleasing. If you shot at f1.2, it would be absolutely stupid. It wouldn't work at all. So, but the detail there, the shot is sharp, and totally fine. So pretty pleased with that one. Used a spot focus, so I just went through the leaves, and it turns out the lens focus is pretty close. I think it's about 30 centimeters. That's from your sensor through the lens to your subject. So from the end of the lens, the sunshade or the lens hood, it was about another 10 to 15 centimeters, something like that, on top of the length of the lens. So yeah, looked quite nice as a shot. Then I did just a sky shot, really, just because the clouds were nuts and it was just interesting. F6.3 there, ISO 100. Moody clouds, these are the low ones passing really quickly, and these ones up here weren't really moving that much, but it was interesting to watch and the way it was. As you can see, straight out of camera, not even adjusted anything. This one here was some grass, so I put the camera down into the grass, and as you can see there, f5.6, ISO 100, 1/40th of a second. This is where it was pretty much dusk. But you can see there it's nice and sharp, even, down, low, in the grass. We're getting bits and pieces in focus there, but obviously then it just pitters off really, really quickly. Customary, whatever. Tommy shot. So this shot here, I have edited it. You can see them on the levels on the right hand side there. Just tweaked it a little bit here or there, and he was basically jumping up at me, trying to get him to stroke him, basically. He will either sort of wrap his tail around your legs and sort of, rubs up against you and just say, give me some attention, or he does this. This was the second time I got him to jump up. The first time I kind of missed a shot, so the second time I got him to jump up, and then he just dug his claws in, as you can see there. But luckily, that paw there is in line with his eyes, so claws are sharp, as is that eye is. That one's slightly soft because it's slightly different. But shooting at f1.2, so I was impressed by how, one, it's sharp, but obviously his nose isn't. There's bits and pieces, obviously, it's so shallow that the bokeh around on the grass looks nice, and all the clover leaves and everything look really cool. It works as a shot, I think. Let me know what you think in the description, really, because this is probably one of my favourite shots of the day. Not that I really took that many, but it worked quite nicely as an image. So that was quite cool. But obviously I wouldn't have shot that normally at f1.2. I mean, maybe f2.8, something like that, to get more of him in focus. But then you kind of sacrifice your almost spirally bokeh going on there. So it's a difficult one to sort of guess, really. A couple of more sky shots as the sun was going down, so we've got a bit of colour approaching there. This is the dynamic range of these cameras now. So I've taken the light reading from up there, the sun still basically sunny. Obviously that's going to blow it out, so if we just crank up the shadows, we've now got pretty much all the detail down here of the grass, the trees and everything, as we need them. We can just bring it up a bit more, drop the highlights down, and then you've got trees and grass and everything in shot as well, without any overexposing problems anywhere else. So it just shows you the difference between a silhouette and not a silhouette. As you can see there, a bit of the colour coming through the clouds now as the sun's setting. This shot here, f1.2 again, so yeah, I am going to mess around with it a little bit, and it does have its uses in certain situations, but obviously the closer you get to stuff, the shallower your depth becomes, and you can see that bar across the ground there with the stones, how shallow the depth of field is, and he's probably six feet away from me, something like that. And I just think I mean, it works as a shot, but the lens itself is not 100% perfect. You can see it's pretty sharp as an image. His ears are, you know, slightly soft on the tops, but actually generally his face and everything's not too bad. His big whiskers, it looks not too bad. But I have adjusted the image there because I've not used a flash. Ideally I would have used some lighting to light him, because the original shot is this. So that's how much you needed to change the image without a flash. Obviously, because I had to bring that down and then crank him up to bring him back into thing. But that shows you the dynamic range of the camera. There we go. So that's the shot I was happy with. Anyway, what I was going to do was optics. So defringing or fringing, stuff like that. I don't generally put on chromatic aberration, stuff like that, but it may make a difference. But what we do seem to have a small trouble with is when it's heavily backlit, you do get a bit of a green. Actually, it does quite well, actually, the chromatic aberration on the removal. There you go. So around the ear and everything, it got removed, but I just needed to drop it down, and then it's fine. It's not the end of the world, but that was an extreme situation. We've got the sun behind you blasting through. I hadn't exposed it properly, and yeah, luckily we got all that adjustment there as a shot. I mean, at the time I was just sort of testing sort of more the autofocus and stuff like that, and I was trying to keep the exposure balanced enough that I could do this, because obviously if I'd exposed for him, the background of the sky would have just been blown out completely, so I would have lost the details of the sky and everything in the background, so it would have just been an overexposed mess basically. Yeah, anyway, so that does work. So obviously if you have got this lens and you do want to get this lens, you have got a little bit of fringing going on in the green, it seems to be. Wide open, shooting into light basically, but a lot of lenses would suffer from a similar problem. Another shot here, I think that's it. The ones I sort of liked. This one here is not brilliant as such, but if we just click auto levels, it just sort it out a little bit. Eyes are sharp, and I don't know what he's thinking. Even at f2.2, softens off very quickly, and you know, it's as sharp as you need it. But obviously the depth of field is where people think images are soft. Oh, it's not sharp. Well, the area of sharpness is, well, here. His nose is soft, so it's still a very shallow depth of field from those stones which are under his nose to his ears just about. So it is a very shallow depth of field. Well, you can see it there, to be fair. The width of his head. So yeah, you just got to be careful with your depth of field and your f-stops in certain situations. Obviously, going a bit extreme sometimes does look quite cool. The one with Tommy, I do like this shot, to be fair, other than the fact it's not perfect, but what would be, you know, without messing around, and trying to get him to do that a few times was a bit of a mission, to be fair. He won't jump up all the time, So to get him to do it twice was a bit of a lucky shot. And as I just held the camera looking down, I relied on the eye autofocus to actually get his eyes in focus, but I chopped off one of his ears and his tail, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it works. It's quite a cool shot, and yeah. But to be honest, that's quite a cool shot. I quite like the lighting on that. It's just a green photo, isn't it? It's just green. Everything's green. But the shadows, the lighting, it and everything looks really pleasant. So pretty pleased with that. And the lens itself is really nicely balanced in the hand. It feels really good in the hand. And in fact, with the A1, you hold the lens and it just feels really nice. It just balances in your hand really well, even with the weight of the camera over the back. So it's actually nicer to hold and doesn't feel as heavy as it does. So that's a good thing. And very, very nice in the fact that you can hold the focus ring and actually just rotate the camera. So if you want to go from portrait to landscape in one easy move, you just grip the lens and just rotate the camera on it, and then you can obviously shoot portrait. Unless you're using manual focus, obviously, then it will be adjusting your focus. But yeah, works really well. Anyway, guys, that's kind of it. I just thought I'd show you a couple of pictures that I've taken. There'll be some better ones coming soon, I'm sure, but just a case of looking at it and experimenting to see what that lens was like, because I've never used one before. Like I say, the lighting wasn't brilliant, and it was just a case of just a few snaps, a little mess around to see what we could actually capture. So anyway, hope you like the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and yeah, I shall see you soon.